The first time he stayed late after I flagged the Meridian account, I thought it was coincidence. The second time, I knew better. He didn't hover, didn't ask questions. He just appeared. At the printer when I was running reports. In the break room when I was alone. Always within earshot. Always watching. I'd been at the bank 8 months. Long enough to know which analysts survived and which ones didn't. Long enough to recognize when someone was tracking me. The transaction I'd flagged was small. Routine. A shell company moving money through offshore accounts before disappearing into a trust with no officers listed. The kind of thing that gets buried. Unless someone looks. I looked. Now I was standing outside the conference room where my manager was waiting to fire me for a reporting error I didn't make. The email had come an hour ago. Immediate review required. And he was standing at the end of the hall. Watching. Not moving to help. Not walking away. Just waiting. Like he already knew how this would end. Choi Tae-suk. Before we begin, tell me the city you're listening from. Some stories travel farther than they should. I walked into Paul Hendrick's office, expecting the end of my career. He was sitting behind his desk with my file open. The kind of setup that meant HR was already involved. I'd rehearsed my defense on the train. The timestamps didn't match. The report I'd submitted had different figures. Someone had altered it after I logged off. But Paul looked uncomfortable instead of angry. Elena. He closed the file. I owe you an apology. I stopped mid-step. Excuse me. The discrepancy in your quarterly report, it's been resolved. IT found a synchronization error in the system. He pushed his glasses up. Wouldn't meet my eyes. Your original submission was correct. The version I received was corrupted somehow. I didn't sit. Corrupted. Database issue. It's being addressed. He opened his hands like he was offering me something. You're not in any trouble. In fact, your work on the Meridian account has been noted. Good instincts. Good instincts. 3 days ago, he'd told me I was sloppy. That I flagged transactions without understanding context. That junior analysts didn't get to play detective. Now I had good instincts. Who reviewed my original file? I kept my voice even. I'm not sure. IT handled it directly. Paul stood, signaling the meeting was over. Let's just move forward. I'm glad we caught this before it became a bigger issue. I thanked him. Walked out. Kept my face neutral until I reached my desk. Then I opened my system login history. My report had been accessed twice after I submitted it. Once by Paul. And once by an administrative account I didn't recognize. The timestamps were 30 minutes apart. The change happened in between. I pulled up the admin account details. It required senior-level clearance. Manager or above. The kind of access that didn't leave fingerprints unless you knew where to look. I scrolled through recent activity. My pulse slowed. Whoever had access to that account had also opened the Meridian file. The same file I'd flagged. The same offshore transaction that shouldn't exist. They'd reviewed it, cleared it, and then they'd saved my job. I looked up. Across the floor, past 3 rows of cubicles, Choi Tae-suk was at his desk. He wasn't looking at his screen. He was looking at me. When our eyes met, he didn't look away. Didn't pretend he'd been doing something else. He just watched. Then he stood, buttoned his jacket, and walked toward the elevator without a word. I sat there frozen. Someone had just saved my career. And I was starting to think I should be terrified instead of grateful. I waited until after 6 to pull the Meridian file again. The office had emptied out. Just a few analysts grinding through month-end close. The kind of quiet where keyboard clicks echo. I logged into the archive system and searched by transaction ID. The file opened. Everything was still there. The shell company. The 3 offshore transfers. The corporate trust with no listed officers. All the red flags I'd documented in my original notes. But now there was a stamp at the bottom. Reviewed and cleared, senior compliance. I stared at the screen. The transaction hadn't changed. It was still irregular. Still suspicious. But someone with authority had marked it clean and moved on. I pulled the metadata. The review had been completed 2 days ago. The same day I'd flagged it. Hours before Paul called me into his office. Whoever cleared this knew I'd found it. And instead of burying me with it, they'd buried the problem. I opened the admin account activity again. The one that had accessed my report. The login trail went back months. Mostly routine approvals. Expense reports. System updates. Nothing unusual. Except for one pattern. Every transaction I'd ever flagged, even the ones I'd submitted and forgotten, had been accessed by this account within 48 hours. Someone had been watching my work since I started. My stomach tightened. I cross-referenced the Meridian Shell Company, pulled in corporation records, searched for linked entities. The company had been registered in Delaware 8 months ago. No assets, no employees, no filings beyond the bare minimum. But the account activity showed over 15 million moving through it in the last quarter alone. I sat back. This wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate, organized, and someone inside the bank was making sure it stayed invisible. I heard footsteps behind me. I closed the window. Too fast. Guilty. When I turned, he was standing 3 desks away. Choi Tae-suk. He had his coat on, briefcase in hand, like he was heading out, but he wasn't moving. Working late, he said. Not a question. Month end. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. He nodded, took 1 step closer. His expression didn't change. Calm. Unreadable. Be careful what you look for, he said quietly. You might not like what you find. Then he walked past me. Didn't look back. Didn't wait for a response. I sat there, hands still on the keyboard. He knew. He knew I was digging. He knew I'd found something. And he just warned me to stop. I pulled the Meridian file back up, stared at the cleared transaction. Then I hit print. I started tracking him the next day. Not obviously. I just paid attention. Choi Tae-suk arrived at 7:30 every morning. Left after 8 most nights. His desk was always immaculate. No personal items. No coffee cups. No clutter. He took calls in Korean at least twice a day. Always walked to the stairwell when his phone rang. Never took meetings in conference rooms. On paper, he was a senior risk analyst. Mid-level. Competent but unremarkable. Except his system access wasn't mid-level. I spent 2 days mapping his digital footprint. Every login. Every file he touched. He had clearance across departments I'd never even heard of. Dormant accounts that hadn't been active in years suddenly showed his credentials. Transaction logs that should have required VP approval had his signature. And he was careful. He never stayed in one system long enough to trigger alerts. Never accessed the same file twice in one day. But he was there, in the shadows of every audit trail I pulled. On Thursday, I watched him take a call at his desk instead of the stairwell. He kept his voice low, his face neutral, but his hand tensed on the edge of his desk. When he hung up, he didn't move for a full minute. Just sat there, staring at nothing. Then he stood, walked to the elevator, and left. It was 2 in the afternoon. I checked his logout time later. He'd been gone for 3 hours. No calendar block. No PTO request. He came back at 5:15. Same calm expression. Same perfect composure. Like he hadn't disappeared in the middle of the workday. I started noticing other things. The way people moved around him in the break room. Not avoiding him. Just giving him space. The way managers didn't ask him to join team meetings. The way his desk phone never rang, but his cell always did. On Friday, I stayed late again. Tae-suk was still there at 9. He wasn't working. Just sitting at his desk. Waiting. I pretended to review spreadsheets. Watched him from the corner of my eye. At 9:40, his phone buzzed. He read the message. Then he looked up. Directly at me. Not a glance. A deliberate, sustained look. I should have looked away. Should have gone back to my screen. I didn't. We stared at each other across the empty office. He stood, buttoned his jacket, and walked toward my desk. My heart kicked against my ribs. He stopped 2 feet away, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to look at him. You're curious, he said. His voice was quiet, almost gentle. I didn't answer. Curiosity is dangerous here. He leaned down, just slightly. Especially for someone like you. Someone like me. Someone smart enough to notice things. His eyes didn't leave mine, but not smart enough to know when to stop. Then he walked away. I sat there, hands shaking. Monday morning, I was called into HR. Not by email. A physical escort. Security waited by my desk while I grabbed my phone. The walk to the 10th floor felt like a perp walk. Jennifer Cow from HR was waiting with someone I'd never seen before. Dark suit. No name tag. The kind of person who gets brought in when things are serious. And sitting across from them was Richard Voss. Senior VP. 20-year veteran. I'd spoken to him once. Maybe twice. Miss Brooks. Jennifer folded her hands. We've received a complaint regarding unauthorized access to client data. My stomach dropped. Mr. Voss has alleged that you accessed his secure files without clearance and may have shared confidential information externally. I looked at Voss. He wasn't looking at me. He was staring at the table, jaw tight. I've never accessed his files. My voice came out steady. I don't even have clearance for senior-level directories. Your login credentials were used. The man in the dark suit slid a printed report across the table. 3 times last week. All outside business hours. I scanned the timestamps. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I'd been at my desk Tuesday. Home by 7 on Thursday. In the office late Friday. That wasn't me. Your credentials. The door opened. Everyone turned. Choi Tae-suk walked in. No hesitation. Like he'd been expected. Apologies for the interruption. He handed Jennifer a tablet. IT flagged a security breach this morning. Miss Brooks' credentials were compromised 4 days ago. Likely phishing. We're running a full audit. Jennifer took the tablet. Scrolled. Her expression shifted. This shows. Multiple accounts were affected, Tae-suk said smoothly, including Mr. Voss. The breach originated from an external IP. We're coordinating with cybersecurity now. The man in the dark suit stood, leaned over to read the screen. No one spoke. Then Jennifer looked at Voss. Richard, we'll need to continue this conversation privately. Voss's face went pale. Wait. Now please. 2 security officers I hadn't noticed stepped forward. Voss stood, looked at me, then at Tae-suk. This is a mistake, Voss said. No one responded. They escorted him out. Jennifer cleared her throat. Miss Brooks, you're free to go. We apologize for the confusion. I didn't move. Tae-suk was already walking toward the door. I followed him into the hallway, grabbed his arm. He stopped, looked down at my hand on his sleeve. What did you do? I corrected a problem. His voice was calm. Empty. He accused me of a crime. He made a mistake. And now he's fired. Tae-suk stepped closer. His expression didn't change. People who threaten you make mistakes, he said quietly. Remember that. Then he walked away. I stood there in the empty hallway. Heart pounding. Terrified. The black sedan appeared on Tuesday. Parked across from my apartment building. Engine off. Tinted windows. I noticed it when I got home from work. Told myself it was nothing. Wednesday night, it was there again. Same spot. Same car. Thursday, I walked past it on my way to the corner store. Slowed down. Tried to see inside. The windows were too dark. When I came back 10 minutes later, it was gone. Friday night, I stayed at the office until 10. Took the long way home. Checked over my shoulder twice. The car was waiting when I arrived. I stood on the sidewalk. Stared at it. No one got out. I went inside. Locked my door. Checked every window. Didn't sleep. Saturday morning, I walked into the office. I wasn't scheduled. Didn't care. Tae-suk was at his desk. Of course he was. I walked straight to him. Didn't stop until I was standing over his chair. There's a car outside my apartment. He looked up. No surprise. No confusion. Just that same unbearable calm. I know. My breath caught. You know. Yes. How long? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Since the day after I flagged Meridian. You're having me followed. I'm making sure you're safe. He said it like it was reasonable. Like I should be grateful. Safe from what? He didn't answer. Just stood. Slowly. Until he was too close. From people who think you know more than you do. I don't know anything. You know enough. His voice dropped. And that makes you a problem for someone who isn't me. My hands were shaking. Anger or fear, I couldn't tell. You can't just. I can. He didn't move. Didn't blink. And I will. This is illegal. Yes. The honesty was worse than a lie. You're watching where I go. Where I live. You're safer if I know where you are. I didn't ask for your protection. You didn't have to. I stepped back. He let me. What do you want from me? My voice cracked. For the first time, something shifted in his expression. Not softness. Something heavier. I want you to stay alive, he said quietly. Even if you hate me for it. He picked up his coat. Walked past me. Stopped at the elevator. The car stays, he said without turning around. You'll notice it less in a few days. The elevator doors opened. He stepped inside. I stood there. Frozen. The doors closed. I pulled out my phone. Stared at it. I could call someone. Report him. End this. Instead, I searched Choi Tae-suk. No results. Not one. The voicemail came Tuesday afternoon. Unknown number. No caller ID. I almost deleted it. Then I heard my name. Elena Brooks. The voice was male. Accented. Speaking Korean. Then my name again. Slower. Deliberate. Elena Brooks. More Korean. Fast. Angry. Then the line went dead. I played it again. My hand was shaking. I didn't understand the words. But I understood the tone. This wasn't a wrong number. I saved the message. Grabbed my phone. Headed for the stairwell. I needed air. Needed to think. The door closed behind me. The concrete walls made everything echo. I played the message a third time. Tried to catch any word I recognized. Miss Brooks. I spun around. Tae-suk was standing 3 steps below me. I hadn't heard the door open. What are you? His eyes dropped to my phone. Still playing the voicemail. His expression changed. Not calm anymore. Something sharp. Dangerous. Where did you get that? Someone called me. My voice sounded far away. I don't know who. He climbed the steps. Took my phone before I could react. Played the message. His jaw tightened. What does it say? I asked. He didn't answer. Just played it again. Tae-suk. It says you're already involved. His voice was flat. Controlled. And that you should have been handled weeks ago. The stairwell tilted. Handled. Removed. He looked at me. Really looked at me. Before you became a liability. A liability to who? People I've kept away from you. He handed my phone back. Until now. I couldn't breathe. Why would anyone? Because you flagged the wrong transaction. Because you're good at your job. Because you notice things most people miss. He stepped closer. And because they think I care whether you live or die. Do you? The question came out before I could stop it. He didn't answer right away. Just watched me. Like he was deciding how much truth I could handle. Yes, he said finally. Which is the problem. My phone buzzed. Another voicemail. Same unknown number. Tae-suk grabbed my wrist. Not rough. But firm. Don't listen to it. Why not? Because it's not a message. It's proof you're still alive. His grip tightened. And they're waiting to see how long that lasts. He pulled me toward the door. Where are we going? Somewhere I can see you. I'm not. This isn't optional anymore, Elena. He stopped. Turned. His face was inches from mine. You're in this now. Whether you want to be or not. The door opened. Someone else was coming. Tae-suk moved me behind him. Instinct. Immediate. Protective. The analyst looked at us. Looked away. Kept walking. When the door closed, I realized I was holding my breath. And Tae-suk still hadn't let go. I followed him Thursday night. He left the office at 7. Took a car I didn't recognize. Black. Expensive. Not the sedan that had been watching my apartment. I caught a cab 2 cars behind. Told myself I'd turn back. That this was insane. I didn't turn back. We drove to Koreatown. Stopped outside a restaurant with no English signage. The kind of place you don't find unless you know it's there. Tae-suk went inside through a side entrance. I paid the driver. Waited 5 minutes. Then followed. The front of the restaurant was busy. Families. Couples. Normal. I walked past the hostess. Found the side door. It led to a hallway. Then stairs going down. My heart was pounding so hard I thought someone would hear it. I made it halfway down before I heard voices. Korean. Low. Tense. I stopped at the bottom step. Pressed against the wall. There was a room at the end of the hall. Door half open. I could see inside. Tae-suk was standing at the head of a table. 4 men sitting. One standing against the wall. He was speaking Korean. Calm. Measured. One of the men interrupted. Raised his voice. Tae-suk didn't react. Just kept talking. Then he nodded to the man against the wall. The man moved. Fast. The one who'd interrupted didn't get up. I watched Tae-suk straighten his cuffs. Say something else. His tone didn't change. The other men nodded. Meeting over. I turned. Ran back up the stairs. Made it outside before my legs gave out. I leaned against the brick wall. Tried to breathe. This was real. This was what he was. Not just money laundering. Not just corporate crime. This. I should have left. Should have run. Instead, I waited. 20 minutes later, he walked out. Alone. He stopped when he saw me. Didn't look surprised. Didn't look angry. Just tired. How long were you down there? He asked. Long enough. He nodded. Slowly. Like he'd been expecting this. You should go home, Elena. Should I? Yes. I pushed off the wall. Walked toward him. What happens now? Now you forget what you saw. I can't. You will. He turned to leave. I grabbed his arm. He stopped. I'm not running, I said. He looked at my hand on his sleeve. Then at my face. You should be. I know. Something changed in his expression. Something raw. You don't understand what you're asking for. Then explain it to me. No. Why not? Because once I do, he said quietly, you can't go back. I didn't let go. Maybe I don't want to. He stared at me. The street was empty. Just us. Get in the car, Elena. Where are we going? Somewhere we can talk. He pulled his arm free. Gently. And you can decide if you really mean that. He drove to a parking garage downtown. Top level. Empty. The city lights spread out below us. Too beautiful for what this conversation was. Tae-suk turned off the engine. Didn't speak for a full minute. Yes. Why didn't you just fire me? Because you were good. He looked at me. Better than anyone I'd seen. And I thought if I kept you away from certain accounts, you'd stay safe. You were wrong. Yes. He exhaled. The Meridian account was a test. Not for you. For a partner who thought he could move money without my approval. You found it in 6 hours. My stomach turned. You used me. No. You were never supposed to see it. His voice dropped. But once you did, I had to decide. Silence you. Or protect you. You chose protection. I chose you. The words were quiet. Final. And that made you a target. The voicemail. The threats. The men in that basement. They think I know something. They think you matter to me. He turned in his seat. Faced me fully. And they're right. I couldn't breathe. There's a way out, he said. I can relocate you. New city. New name. New life. You'd be safe. Completely untouchable. And you. I'd make sure you stayed that way. It was a perfect exit. Clean. Safe. Everything I should want. No. He blinked. Elena. I don't want to disappear. I met his eyes. I want to understand what I walked into. What you are. Why this matters. It doesn't matter. You just need to survive it. That's not enough. It should be. Well, it's not. My voice shook. You don't get to protect me and keep me in the dark. I'm not a problem you solve from a distance. You're not a problem at all. Then what am I? He stared at me. Something shifted behind his eyes. Something he'd been holding back. You're the first thing in 10 years I wasn't willing to sacrifice. The confession hung between us. Then stop treating me like I'm breakable, I said. Tell me the truth. All of it. And if you can't handle it, then that's my choice to make. He studied my face, looking for doubt. He wouldn't find any. All right, he said quietly. But not here. Where? My place. His apartment was minimalist. Cold. Like no one actually lived there. Taesuk poured 2 glasses of water. Set one in front of me. The organization I run isn't what you think it is, he said. We move money. Lots of it. But we don't deal drugs. Don't traffic people. We launder for businesses that can't use traditional banks. That's still illegal. Yes. He sat across from me. But it's controlled. Organized. There are rules. And the men in that restaurant. A problem that's been handled. I took a breath. What did they want? Control of territory I won't give them. They thought threatening you would make me negotiate. Did it? His jaw tightened. It made me end the conversation permanently. I understood what that meant. How long have you been doing this? 12 years. He leaned back. My family built this. I inherited it when I was 23. And the bank, a cover, and a useful one. He watched me carefully. Now you know. So tell me, Elena, what do you want to do with that information? I should have been horrified. Should have walked out. Instead, I thought about the voicemail. The men who wanted me handled. The world that had made space for me only because Taesuk had decided I mattered. Teach me, I said. What? How this works. How you operate. How to see what's coming. I met his eyes. If I'm already a target, I'd rather know how to survive it. He stared at me. That's not. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. Went still. What is it? He stood. Walked to the window. Taesuk. Someone accessed the Meridian account 20 minutes ago. His voice was tight. From inside the bank. Who? I don't know. He turned. But they're moving the money. All of it. Right now. My heart stopped. That's 15 million. Gone. He grabbed his jacket. And whoever's doing it knows exactly what they're taking. Can you stop it? Not remotely. He was already moving toward the door. I need to get to the server room before. His phone rang. He answered. Listened. His expression went dark. When? Pause. How many? He hung up. What happened? They're not just stealing the money. He looked at me. Really looked at me. They leaked your name to a journalist. Your connection to the flagged accounts. My blood went cold. Elena, in 6 hours, you're going to be the story. On a scale of 1 to 10. How dangerous does this story feel right now? If you want part 2, you already know what to do.